it says we are now live. There you go. So we are into another weekly Google Hangout, and I'm watching who's in the group. We've got Jeanette, and Jackie isn't there now. So people are coming in and going out, learning how the technology does or doesn't work for them. But we are live and recording. For Deb and Gina, they don't see you yet in the film strip. There we go. We now are being seen on the other laptop. So we are being recorded, and people can hear what we're saying, and they won't feel so out of place when they just come in and see the text stream. So maybe the easiest thing to do is just say hello to the audience and introduce ourselves and see who joins us and if there are any interesting questions for today. I'm waving at myself on the laptop, so it looks like it's coming through the computer properly. So, Deb, why don't you say hello to whoever's out there watching?
Well, hello, everyone. It's so nice to join the group again this week, and thank you so much, Dave, for all of the tutorials over the past week and trying to get us up and running as a team here. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago to Gina, I am located in South Central Pennsylvania. I am primarily working within the occupational health, wellness, and disability management arena. However, I am partnered to a point with Dave with the Finn project. He is, of course, the captain of the ship, and I'm just rowing from the back.
Power from somewhere.
Exactly. But it's a pleasure to be part of these calls, and I'm really looking forward to meeting and learning from each of the cancer coaches that join our group, and going forward. So I guess
I think you mentioned last week that you were looking at what cancer coaching is all about. Do you have a definite interest in this area?
Yes, I do. I'm actually finishing up a chronic care coaching program at this point, and one of the things that it does include is cancer to a point, but it's more about the broad disabilities, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to gleaning more specific cancer-related information.
And you have the important role today of being our comment wrangler, because I can't read these comments from where I'm at. So you get to see if there are any interesting comments that we should talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
So why don't you look at that list, and I'll get Gina on camera. And there you are. Gina is now front and center. Say hello to everyone.
Hello there. It's my pleasure to be here as well. This is my first time on the show, and thank you, Dave, for welcoming me and just being so kind and reaching out to me. I'm happy to be here. So I am a certified life coach, and I work with breast cancer survivors, or basically cancer survivors and caregivers. And what I do is I help them cope step by step with the emotional and physical challenges they experience so that they can feel confident in control of their lives once again. As you know, Dave, it's such an emotional experience, but things also come up around life issues while we're going through the cancer diagnosis. So I basically help them manage the change in their lives as they're going through this.
And although we were talking in the green room, Deb and Gina and I, we know where we all are. Gina, tell them where you are physically located so they get some sense of your location.
Sure. So I am in Parlin, New Jersey, which is a borough of Sayreville, kind of a butt to Old Bridge, New Jersey, and basically it's called Middlesex County, so it's kind of between north and south, so I have easy access to pretty much everything around me.
And you have one busy life. I've been following you on Facebook. You are doing a million things all at once. Is that the normal Gina way?
That is the normal Gina way. I happen to have a lot of energy, and after my breast cancer diagnosis myself, it was really a strike of lightning to me to slow things down a bit. And although I may still be kind of going at a fast pace, I'm using my energy in a different way. So I'm not stressing and doing things that were kind of on my to-do list that didn't necessarily have to be done. I now am, a business owner. I have my own legal business and I have my own coaching business, and that gives me flexibility to do the things that I love. So as I'm working in legal and as I'm doing coaching, I'm kind of playing around and just doing things that I love, which is writing and connecting to people on Facebook and sharing and just, showing up authentically as myself. So I like it a lot. Some people kind of joke with me that I'm on Facebook all the time, so it probably maybe appears that I play all day. But I do get up pretty early, and I have to say that, actually Facebook was kind of one of the things that helped me get through my own cancer journey, because I was very involved in the PTO with my children's schools, and when I had my surgeries and all of that stuff, I kind of had to step back from it. So I actually started using Facebook as a way just to post positive affirmations for myself. It was kind of a way of me saying those things out loud, and then it just kind of caught on from there, and people caught on to it. And they kind of applauded me for, putting a positive message out there. And I should probably incorporate this into my story somewhere, but that's how my fascination or my addiction with Facebook really started. It was really to help myself, or, filling a void for something that I wasn't doing any longer. So it's actually a pretty funny story. I'm just thinking of it now as you're talking to me, and that's what coaching does, right?
Well, it sure does. I mean, I was just amazed when our paths crossed to see all the things that you are actually doing. You're sort of a role model that all the cancer coaches that I'm meeting, I'm pointing them to you and your Facebook page and your website, because you do understand the power of networking and the power of marketing, and you enjoy it. That was one of the things that last week we were talking about, is some people were saying, they don't understand what marketing is all about. They don't really have what they believe is a skill in it. And frankly, they don't like doing it. They'd much rather do coaching. And that's why I put that video together that some people have seen over the last couple of days on maybe it's a mindset issue. And when I was sitting at the water thinking about the issue, you were the person I was thinking about, because you seem to know what to say, you seem to be enjoying what you're doing, and the interaction that you're getting from the people who follow you seem to support that. They agree that you have something to say. Do you feel that way with what you're doing?
Actually, yes. Yes and no. And Dave, I really appreciate that feedback, because we all face our own gremlins and things like that as or inner critic as we're building our own business. So I do enjoy, one of the things I think that really gives me my purpose in all of this is that I really love connecting with people, and I actually listened to your video before, so I'm actually glad that I did. So I love being personally interacting with people, and I love writing. So, I kind of love the two of them, and, I am putting myself out there on Facebook, and, I just became a helpline attendant with Living Beyond Breast Cancer, which is on a volunteer basis. I just became a Reach to Recovery specialist with the American Cancer Society. I do speaking engagements at cancer communities. So, the way I was taught is really just getting out there and putting yourself out there, and, speaking at my, events through my coaching school, and trying to get involved in some roles with my coaching school. So just putting myself out there, and Right now, I do have a little bit of a lull in terms of clients, so I'm trying to build, my business or my clientele back up. So it's a process and an ebb and flow. So, when I start to get a little frustrated, well, maybe I'm not getting a client or, whatever, I have to know that I'm out there and I'm doing what I love. And my clients will come to me, as we all know. They may not come to me today or tomorrow, but eventually they'll come, because I think a lot of what I'm doing is establishing my credibility. Again, just getting out there, radio shows, speaking, being here with you, just getting myself known and, getting people to interact with me. So, I guess I could maybe put a little pressure on myself and say that I could sometimes be doing more, but then that's where I use the coach approach, and I stop myself and I say it's going to all come together, and I'm really just doing what I love. I'm enjoying myself.
Well, it certainly seems to be successful. I'm out there talking to people, and your name comes up, so they are reading your articles. I think you just got on as a general writer for the Anti-Cancer Club, and there's about 50,000 readers of that particular online magazine. So the exposure that you're getting is definitely going to make you visible, and that's certainly where it begins, is becoming visible and getting known, getting remembered, and through all of that activity, you end up getting business. It isn't you do something on Monday and a client shows up on Wednesday. I mean, sometimes that does happen, but it's a build-up of people getting to have to know you and trust in you. And I think we as cancer survivors understand the emotional stress that we're in, whether in a treatment phase or a survivor stage, and that stress, anxiety, fear colors our ability to reach out and ask for help. I know that was my case, and as I've talked to other survivors, it turns out that was their case as well. So when a coach is becoming visible, you suddenly see that they're there, but you're not quite comfortable yet at saying, hey, I'm over here, can you do something to help me? There's sort of a courting process that goes on, much like, I use the word courting because I think of dating, and you just don't meet somebody at the bar and say, hey, let's go home. You've got to talk and meet and share and make sure that there's a relationship that's being built. And I think that's what you're doing in your marketing effort to people at various stages of the treatment program, the transition program, and the survivor program, and getting through those walls of anxiety and fear and frustration that they're facing. We know they need help, but they're not quite sure that you're going to be the solution. How do you feel about those comments, Gina?
Right on point again, Dave, and that's why I have a personal page and I have my business pages, as well as my website. I like to let people know, I try to become friends with as many people as I can and make as many connections as I can, because that's another resource for us as coaches. But I also like to show them, so I have maybe a, what's the word, quirky sense of humor, but I enjoy that and I love that. So that's what I, kind of do on my personal page, and I share that sometimes, with some of the people that I'm friends with who also know about my business page. So I don't want them to only know me as a coach or, someone, a real estate paralegal who's been doing that work for 30 years. I want them to see, who the real Gina is, who I am, in all aspects of my life, and hopefully that all comes together as my authentic self. But I really believe that's where you make the connection with people, showing them that you're real, and that you're approachable.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that point up, because I get challenged a lot by people talking about their vulnerability and saying, I don't want to reveal my story. I want them to know that I have some credentials, I have some skills, and yes, I'm a survivor, so I understand where they're at, but I don't want them really to understand the arc of my story, nor do I want them to get a personal look at the world that I live in, whether it's with family or friends or whatever. I think I want to keep more of a professional distance between people. My sense, particularly in this field, that that's not necessarily a good strategy because, as you just said, being the authentic you and letting people know who you are helps them build that relationship. How distant do you want to be from people? Are you challenged from people that you know about the vulnerability that you show?
You know, that's quite an interesting question, and, you know, you're laser focused, and I'm so glad that you went there. And I have a couple things to say around that. One, I grew up in a very insular and isolated perfectionist family. So, but I always had a voice, and I knew that. And now, you know, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of days. So 50 years later, I'm really walking into that. I've been working on myself in terms of personal development for virtually, you know, the last 30 years. And sometimes I do have to say, you know, am I exposing myself too much? But then I say, you know what, that's me. Take me or leave me. And you know, I'm actually very proud that I've been able to get to that point. And, you know, with the help of being coached around that. And then just a couple of other interesting points around that. So some family members, you know, may be like, okay, stop with the selfies, like enough positivity or whatever. And it took me a long time to get over that. It really used to push my buttons. But again, I say, this is who I am, and there's a reason I'm doing it. And then my husband, who I have to say is so very supportive, and actually, when he doesn't get one of my blog posts, we'll say, hey, you didn't do a blog post. What's going on? I haven't gotten anything in my email yet. But we had a conversation a couple months back, and he said, you know, maybe, you know, I get what you're doing, but don't you think you're sharing a little bit too much of yourself, and people might kind of think that's whatever they think? And I basically looked at him and probably used a couple of curse words. And again, I said, Chris, this is me. You know, I'm finally at this point in my life where I'm comfortable in my own skin being me. I don't care what people think. I want to help that one or two, you know, those one or two people that I connect with. You know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to make connections. And again, to show up as Gina. And, you know, it's taken me a long time to get there. I have to tell you a short story. I was asked to speak at a retreat in front of, you know, a couple hundred coaches. And that was very anxiety-provoking for me. You know, again, here's a coach showing up among her peers, but yet she's feeling judged by her peers. So what is that? That's all self-judgment. So anyway, because I was so anxious about it, and basically the way I've started my business personally is walking through each one of my fears. So when fear comes up for me, I know it's something that I have to do. So I was so anxious about speaking in front of all these people, probably lost like 10 pounds. Got on the stage, no clue what I said. I got a little tripped up in the beginning. I walked off the stage, and people were like, you know, did you know you just got a standing ovation? And I was like, huh, what? So, you know, apparently there is, because as I was on stage, I do remember being very authentic and telling people how nervous I was. So apparently there is a big connection there. So you got to show up as yourself, basically.
Oh, I so agree. I mean, I certainly believe that one of the best things you can do to build a relationship is show that you understand the world that your client is walking. And one of the difficulties I've had in working with coaches over the years, and now working with life coaches, is there is an agreement that we should share more about ourselves, but not to become vulnerable or perhaps show those aspects of us that might not be appreciated and as you said, judged by other people. And I disagree. I really have seen time and time again where the client who is looking for help or is introduced to you as a purveyor of help is trying to understand, do you understand where they walk? And in your case, you know, I've you know, I know you do a number of different kinds of areas of help, but you focus in on breast cancer survivors and the issues that a survivor is having in that area are often intimate issues or often personal identity crisis issues, and they need to feel comfortable that they can reveal to you what they're really thinking and what they're really feeling, and you set the stage as soon as they meet you or start to read what you're writing, that you understand those issues and are talking about it. And as you said, with your quirky sense of humor, you'll make it a little light. I mean, the post that you either did last night or this morning, I only read it after lunch today, about turning 50, but not all of you is turning 50, you know, was an interesting way of revealing to people what you were thinking about and the issues that you've had to deal with. And I would think that would be a beautiful way of building a bridge to a breast cancer survivor who is either, you know, in that latter stage of treatment and trying to come up with their new beginning. And for those of you that haven't gone to Gina's site, you've got to go to the New Beginning site, because she has a philosophy about life is a new beginning. And yet, again, another topic that you can relate to. Today on Facebook, people are saying, no, there are no new beginnings, you know, and I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I just can't agree with that. So, yes, some people will disagree with what we as coaches are saying, but we have individualized our journey and have something to offer. And I think you want to target yourself to those particular clients. And I think, Gina, you've got to be applauded by the way you're doing it, and the success that you're seeing. It is just going to move tenfold as more and more people see who you really are.
I so appreciate that, Dave. And again, you kind of use your skills and your experience as a survivor to hone in on something that I'd like to discuss with you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Please.
All right, so, you know, coaching is all about asking empowering questions, acknowledging, validating, you know, a lot of skills in there. So that obviously, and I get it, believe me, I get it, because I'm a person who likes to get a shovel out and dig deep, so that the client can get their own answers. However, here's where I waver a little bit, and there is a way to share in coaching, but I truly, and I, you know, I'm speaking about this because I'd like to know what your opinion is around it. There's so much unknown, as you know, when you're facing cancer, that I feel like sometimes, and you know, you can definitely preface this with, you know, my journey is not your journey. This happened to me. You know, I don't know what your story is going to be, what's going to happen, if there are going to be complications or whatever. But I think just to give them a little window, you know, of what it is that they may be up against, you know, so that's where I struggle a little bit with the coaching, because like you just said, again, I'm not trying to influence where my client is going, but I do believe that there is a huge connection in sharing. I mean,
and
it's
the
so
sharing that you're doing is helping them understand the journey that they're on. I think that was the big frustration for me at the beginning, is that they said, oh, yes, you're on a journey and your life will change, but you'll handle it, and very big platitudes. And I kept saying, so what journey am I on, and where am I going? You know, am I going to the Arctic and I better bring along a parka? Am I going to the beach? Do I really need to take my bathing trunks? You know, what kind of food should I take along? And no one was telling me, because they kept saying, well, it's all personalized and individualized and nobody does it the same way. I said, well, I get that, but give me an idea of what the options are so that I can understand what's ahead of me and prepare myself for it. I don't need to have everything etched in stone, but I need to have an understanding of what is it? Is this just going to be a little thunderstorm? Is this a tornado? Is this a hurricane? Is this a Category 5 hurricane, as it was in my case, that went on for 18 months and just it almost killed me 3 times? So I would have loved to have a coach who would have walked me through being personalized and how can I word it? Helping me on my journey, not their journey, but using their expertise, having traveled that path, a different one than mine, but enough that they could understand what I was facing, how I was feeling, what I was thinking about, and what to do when the moments of crisis call. Those 2 o'clock in the morning panic attacks that I had were just incredible. And I would have loved to have somebody that could have helped me deal with that beyond a psychosocial worker in the clinic who would do a standard psych assessment and do some magic voodoo, but didn't really go along a coaching model. They had 35 minutes max to spend with me, and there was no solution. It was ventilation, and there was no ongoing help. It was no daily meetings, not even weekly meetings. So what a coach could provide to help me along the journey by personalizing it and showing me that they did it. They walked a different path, but they have a lot of similarity and know how to help me prepare for all the unknowns that I'm going to have over that journey. I think the coach could be wonderful if they would do it that way.
Yeah. And you see, Dave, I also kind of struggle a little bit with, sometimes people will say to me, and don't get me wrong, I had my fears and emotions and all that stuff, and sometimes people will say, oh, well, you went through it so gracefully, or you were so strong, and, you're my hero. And
yes.
No, that's really not the case. I really feel like my unfortunate background, or again, all the work that I did, just working on myself internally, and seeing my mom go through ovarian cancer, chemotherapy, and, I don't have to tell you how graphic things can get at the end. Also, then after she passed away, jumping into or during she was going through her struggle, actually going to medical libraries in Manhattan, to see if she was eligible for trials, and then when she passed, getting genetic testing for myself, and really getting involved in fundraising for women's cancers, and then 10 years later, seeing my sister, diagnosed with breast cancer, being kind of shocked, both of us, because we thought we'd have ovarian cancer, but then just going through that whole process, seeing her through it, seeing she could do it. So it was almost like when I got it, and again, don't get me wrong, I was devastated, but I think all that education, for lack of a better word, or experience that I had, really helped me have hope moving forward. And when I say have hope moving forward, I mean, what I mean by that is turning some of the negativity upside down and then seeing some positivity along that path, and then just pulling it all together. And I think also, just having the support of my husband and knowing that I had to get a wall out.
Are you still there? I see you, but I'm...
my tool belt to move
Oh, there you go.
forward. So,
You're back.
say that again?
Yeah, you had just faded out on me, but that's okay. You're there.
Yeah, so, again, I feel like I had a lot of tools in my tool belt, which is, again, why, I really feel like I could help people in this niche, and why I continue to pursue it despite my own internal frustrations at times. Rome wasn't built in a day.
I think you and I are going to have a great talk on the 29th, because the whole concept of new beginnings and helping a person go forward and dealing with these issues is going to make, and our talk on the 29th is really to the cancer patient and the survivor, not to coaches. So I think the coaches listening to us today are sensing what those issues are that we're going to talk about on the 29th, and I think what you and I are both saying is those are things that coaches should think about when they're working with their clients and should do something to identify their approach in their marketing. It's a very interesting thing that coaches tend to do. And you'll get a sense by what I mean. If you go to our coach directory and take a look at the listings that coaches have placed about their business, they all are talking almost the same way. And they're forgetting that the person who's going to read that directory is a person searching for answers to problems. You know, the fact that, yes, you do coaching, yes, you will help uncover issues, yes, you will be with them over a period of time. That's not what they're looking for. Those are the mechanics. The services is really, how will you help me with the problem that I think I have, or even helping me uncover the problem. And I would certainly recommend those coaches who watch this replay to go back to their own directory listing and put that section on the services provided in words as if you are the potential client, not the coach saying, I perform, I offer, I do, but rather look at it from the person who's reading it for the first time saying, here's my problem, what's your solution? So if you say, this is what I am looking at, you know, for instance, if with breast cancer survivors, it could be, you know, if you have or are dealing with body identity issues, you know, we will be able to work on that because my experience is such and such. If you are having emotional issues with you and your significant other, then I can help you in the following ways. You know, you're trying to help in your marketing and on your website to help the person make a decision as to what you will do for them that will help them. You're not there trying to sell an hour of your time. Nobody wants to buy an hour of your time. What they want is really to hear that you have an approach that will guide them through the unknown or help them deal with the difficulties that they're facing right now, and that through your experience you are different than the other coaches that they're looking at. And certainly in the directory, they'll look at 5 or 6 coaches and say, well, they're all saying the same thing. How would I select one from the other? So when you think of marketing, it's about you know, writing if you like to write, speak if you like to speak, perform if you like to perform, put it in a blog post, put it in a podcast, put it in a webinar, put it in a live broadcast, put it in a recorded video. Use the media that you feel comfortable with so that I get to know who you are. That's what we're doing today. People are getting to meet Gina. And right now, Deb is comment wrangling, so she's not really, you know, participating in the conversation. But in last week, you saw more of her, and next week, whoever comes on to our coaching session, you'll get a sense for who they are and what they have to offer. That's what your clients are trying to do in your marketing, and you've got to put yourself in their shoes, not look at the world through your eyes. Say, if I was looking for some help, how would I make a decision that that person is someone I could trust, someone that I like, someone that has the credentials, someone that has the solutions to the problems I have, and will help me deal with the things that I haven't yet recognized. Marketing is a conversation. That's all it is. And it's about you understanding yourself as a coach, as Gina is doing, and doing so well. You know, as I said at the beginning, and I'll say it as we're closing out, if you're not following Gina on Facebook and not reading her posts on the various magazines, and not going over to her website, you're missing out a great opportunity to see how she talks and interacts. Hopefully today, I this morning I had a conversation with Gina and was telling her, hey, there's a world of Google that's like Facebook, big community, and I'll offer my community on Google to all of the coaches in our network. if you use the bit.ly, bit.ly/cancercom link, bit.ly/com, you'll come into my community. We've got about 200 cancer patients, survivors, and so forth. And what we're doing there is posting videos, putting in humorous graphics, putting in articles, reprints, and so forth. Please come in and share your words of wisdom. Get known, because that's a group community that everyone can share in. My whole point is to try and let the world know that coaches exist and where we hang out so they can meet us, learn to love us, and get to use us. And that community on Google is a place that you can jump in, post your articles, post your videos, interact with the audience, and it's growing every month. So I offer it to you as another marketing vehicle, as the directory is there for you to use and get known, and use these Thursday sessions to meet other coaches and see what they're doing and how they're doing it to help you with your group. And then, of course, once a month, we do the main broadcast to survivors, caregivers, and patients, and talking about issues that they relate to. So we've got two streams of activity here that help you build your business and build your awareness out there so that you can have a six-figure income or more as a coach, as you use your heart-centered love to help everybody that's out there. So we've gone way past our 30-minute mark, but I think the conversation was interesting. In fact, I can hardly wait to listen to the replay. I think we covered some interesting things.
Oh, yeah.
So let me first go to Gina for closing comments, and then over to Deb to give her perspective of what happened in our time, and then we'll close out. So back to you, Gina.
Okay. First, I'm happy that this is going to be recorded, because I'd like to take a look at it too, and also share it with my community if at all possible.
Of course.
Secondly, Dave, I am so thrilled to have met you, and I feel so connected with you that I just want to reach out. I'm a hugger, as you know. It's one of the first things we talked about.
Well, maybe a fist bump. You gotta do a fist bump.
You're amazing. I love you. You're so real. You're so open. I am eternally grateful to be here, and I think I was maybe a little nervous at the beginning, but I hope you can see how comfortable that I am right now.
Cool.
I'm just so happy to be here and be with you and everyone that's on the show, and everyone that's around you. So I really want to thank you for inviting me and interacting with me and connecting with me.
Hey, glad to be part of your network. It's nice to meet people like you out there. We all help each other. I mean, we're going to do something really meaningful. It's going to be really
absolutely,
great.
And I really feel that, Dave. I think you and I are going to do something big together. I'm feeling that. I'm seeing a vision of that, actually, and it's hard for me to visualize sometimes, but I see this. I see you, Dave.
Oh no! Oh no!
Here comes the quirky part. Watch out, you gotta end now.
And over to Deb for your comment.
Well, actually, I was going to just say that Dave loves vision, so that's perfect, Gina. It's been a pleasure listening again this week. I think ultimately I will glean a tremendous amount of information and insight from those of you working specifically in the cancer coach arena. And I think to something you said earlier, Gina, I just wanted to make a comment. I too am a survivor, and until getting to actually talk at length with Dave and some other individuals in my life, it was not something that I readily shared. And it's fascinating to hear your comments about how that builds a connection, because it truly does. Although we may have all had different sites of disease, we have walked that uncertain path together, and I think that connects us. And that really does help to build a bridge that otherwise wouldn't be there. And I think that's valuable information to share, and it's helpful for me to hear as well. So I really appreciate your comments, Gina. I look forward to hearing more from you. And as always, Dave, thank you so much, not only for including me on your journey, but incorporating me into the fin process. And although we didn't have a chance to really have much comment from some of the other attendees, I'm so pleased that you were here and joined us, and next week perhaps we can have some added dialogue from the rest of the audience members.
We've got a community we're trying to help out, and most of the folks are busy in their client coaching business, and so they watch the replays. We get a lot of the replay groups.
Mm-hmm.
So, some weeks we have lots of interaction, and others it's on the replay. But I think as we create this archive of content, everyone will be able to get at it and glean pieces of knowledge that will help them in their business, because it is about building a business. The coaches that I've met have some insecurities about, can I actually earn a living doing this? I really want to help people. I know that I could do it if I could meet people. How do I do that? And at least we've got a chance every week to raise those questions. And there's an Ask Dave page on the Find Your New Normal site, so you can leave any comments or questions that we can focus in on our Thursday session. So everyone, I hope this was a good session for you, and leave us some comments and come back next Thursday at 4 o'clock. Let me thank Gina. It was amazing to have you here, and Deb, thank you very much for helping us out on it. And I'll just stop the recording so the people who are viewing us can go on to their business. And Gina and Deb, just hang around. Don't leave when the recording stops. But thanks all for being here, and look forward to more discussion next Thursday. Bye for now.